Hey everyone, so if your core workout looks like doing 100 crunches and 100 sit-ups, and this video is for you, today I'm going to take you through my 5 favourite core exercises that actually train your core efficiently and aren't just some sort of gimmick thrown around in the mainstream fitness industry to make everyone train badly. Amazing intro, let's get on with it. Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to take you through is the ab rollout. So the ab rollout is very commonly performed badly, so make sure you're paying attention and listening to what I'm saying to make sure you don't end up being one of those people. So, with an ab rollout, the first one I actually want you to do is A, start from the knees. Most people can't do it very well from the feet. If you can, then great, but the likelihood is that most of you can't, okay? Me included in that. So, start from the knees. I essentially want you to almost think about creating some flexion in the spine, so almost curling up. So you're going to try and pull your belly button as far in as you can. So what this is going to do, this is going to get your abs really nice and engaged here. And what an ab rollout is an anti-extension exercise, which means we're fighting against the extension of the spine, the lumbar spine, okay? So, by getting in this position, it's going to give us a really good cue to make sure we're doing it properly. So what I'm going to try and do is fall as far away from me as I can, see how low I can get towards the floor, making sure I'm nice and straight. You don't want to be seeing the lumbar spine curve, okay? Into almost like a C shape. You don't want that to happen at all. Once you've got as low as you can go, I don't want you to just pull your arms back in, because that's what a lot of people do, and that's where they end up using their lats. And obviously, we're looking to use our core here, not the lats. So, what you're going to do is essentially think, because you're fully extended at the moment with your abs, I want you to think about making them as short as possible to get that roll up back to where it started. Another point as well, you want to be making sure that your hips just aren't constantly moving backwards and forwards. So if you see when I do it, I'm not just sitting onto my heels and then going forwards, sitting onto my heels and going forwards again. You can see that my hips are staying in around about the same area, okay? So there's your ab roll out, and now I'm going to move on to our next exercise. So next up, we have the hanging leg raise / hanging knee raise, okay? So if you've never done this before, I think you should start with the hanging knee raise, just because it's slightly easier. The reason it's easier is because your centre of mass is a bit closer to you. When your legs are extended, your weight is essentially further away from you, so it's harder to control, okay? All you're going to do, you want to make sure you do have some tension in the upper body, so we're trying to stay as tight as we can. So we don't want to be too loose, just hanging from the bars. It does mean we're going to swing about, okay? So essentially what you is just tense everything as hard as you can, because that's going to keep you as still as possible. And then if you're starting with your knees, you want to bring your knees as far away from you as you can, and obviously bring them as high as possible before returning to that straight position. Leg raise is very similar, okay? So we're looking to really try and think about contracting the abs here and not just using our hip flexors. So if you use your hip flexors, it's going to be, yes, a little bit easier, but that's not really the purpose of why we're performing this exercise. So I really want you to think about just contracting those abs, and just start by doing some really small movements, okay? So just think about moving the legs just by the abs, not the legs at all. And then when you've got used to it, you can start to do 4 reps where you're looking to get your legs to at least, maybe 90 degrees with the hip, and then back down to the straight position again. Either way, this is a very easy one to cheat. Obviously some minor movement is okay, because to do it dead still is really difficult. But just start with the hanging knee raise, and then when you're ready, you can progress over to the hanging leg raise. Next up is our loaded carries. So yes, this isn't actually one exercise, but I'm just going to group a few different exercises together here. Otherwise, this video would be my favourite 17 core exercises, which is a really shit YouTube title, so we're not going to do that. So, loaded carries. In particular, I'm talking about where we've offset the weight. So instead of doing a farmer's carry with 2 kettlebells, which is still really good for your core by the way, we're going to use just 1 kettlebell, okay? Because obviously, if the weight's on my right hand side, it's trying to pull me to the right, so therefore I have to resist against it in order to keep myself nice and upright. So that's the benefit that the core is getting here. So suitcase carry, we call that, where you just have 1 dumbbell or 1 kettlebell in one hand, walking with it. You can do the same with front rack, we have it at the shoulder. You can do the same where you have it overhead or anything like that. But you can start with your evenly loaded carries. So if you haven't done any farmer's carry before, do farmer's carry with 2 kettlebells. Then when you're comfortable, you can just progress it to 1 kettlebell to make you work a little bit harder on the core. Give that a go, and then over time, you should be able to notice you're able to hold a much stronger position on some of your lifts as well. Alright, next up, we're moving on to an anti-rotation exercise. So this is the pad-off press. Now the pad-off press is quite easy to be a bit sneery towards it because it looks like it's really easy, because it just looks like you're basically doing nothing. But if you perform this correctly and with adequate load, this will be quite hard, okay? So all you're looking to do, you can use a band or cables. I prefer cables just because it's easier to progressively overload this and track your progress over time with the weight and reps. All you need to do is just be holding that handle in the middle of your chest. You're going to take a couple of steps out, and all you're going to do is try and push forwards, and you want it to be in a complete straight line. So what the weight's trying to do is drag my arms towards the cable. I want my arms to be going straight line from my sternum straight forwards, okay? The handle should be anywhere from probably mid-torso, I'd say, just below the chest is fine. And you don't want it too high, and equally you don't want it too low either. But either way, that's your pad-off press. Obviously make sure you train both sides, but this is really good for anti-rotation because it's trying to pull you out of place and you have to resist against it. Okay, so the last exercise I'm going to go through with you is a bit of a spin on a very popular and very common core exercise that you'll see, the Russian twist. The difference here is that this is a dead stop Russian twist. So usually what will happen is that obviously you'll have your feet off the floor, you'll be holding that nice stable position, and you'll just be moving your weight from side to side. The difference with the dead stop Russian twist is at the bottom, you're actually going to touch the floor with the weight, and then hold it for a second, and then go to the other side and do the same. This requires you to actually engage your core much more, so you have to do so much more stabilization, so you actually have to stop and hold that position in its most compromised state, where the weight is furthest away from you, okay? It also means if you load this quite heavy, it's a really challenging exercise that I really like, especially to get a bit of rotation in our core training. But it's worth noting that I don't like the normal Russian twist, just because I just find it's a little bit, it's almost a bit like the crunches. I don't really think it provides the stimulus that we're looking for to actually develop strength, because all these exercises are about developing core strength, okay? So from a strength point of view, the dead stop Russian twist is a much better alternative. Give it a go. Okay, there you go. There's my favorite 5 core exercises if you want to add some core specific work into your training. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. There's so many good exercises, but these are just the 5 that I tend to use the most, that I really like. I'll give some honorable mentions. So like TRX crunch, for example, or any form of cable wood chop, hollow holds I like as well. Obviously, loads of exercises are really good. The best exercises for core, genuinely, if you're doing your heavy squats and your heavy deadlifts and you're bracing correctly, these are going to do wonders for your core. These exercises are literally if you just want to add a little bit more specific work into your lifts, if you feel like it's a particular issue for you. Okay, so don't come at me for the comments saying that I've missed out your favorite core exercise. Just because it's not here doesn't mean I don't rate it, but these are my favorite 5. Okay, we just need to be moving past doing a minute of crunches, a minute of sit-ups, a minute of just standard Russian twists as our core workouts, okay, at the end of a session. It doesn't really do anything. As you can see, most of the exercises I've chosen today are weighted, so they're loaded. This means it's easy to track progression because even if you're not looking for core as a whole and you're looking just for some ab training, you train your abs like any other muscle, okay? I don't know why people think there's some sort of mythical muscle that have a completely unique approach. If you want to train your bicep, what are you going to do? You're going to do some bicep curls with a weight, and you're going to progress that by adding tempo, reps, or increasing the weight. You can do exactly the same for ab training, okay? So a lot of these core exercises you can do that with. So don't overthink core training, okay? It is really very simple. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If there is any exercises that you want my opinion on, please drop them down below in the comments. Obviously, if you like the video, hit a like and subscribe as well. And I'll see you next week.